Thank you, Dagur. I'm going to invite you to have a seat, and I'm also going to continue the dialogue, because I did say we're going to have further discussion about social and youth projects. From Vienna, a city which has one of the best social security systems for children and young people, leaving absolutely no one behind, head of the Department for Social Welfare, Social and Public Health Law, Vienna, Austria, Agnes Berlakovich. Yeah, if you can just take a seat, maybe that one over there. And from Tampere, Finland, a city with a strategy for promoting well-being and culture, Deputy Mayor of Tampere, Matti, Helimo. So we've heard from Dagur and we've heard what Iceland are up to, but Matti and Agnes, your cities are up to incredible work as well. So Matti, I'll start with you. How and why are Tampere creating a strategy for well-being through culture, and how does that work in reality? How are you using culture to connect well-being and create an epic strategy?
Thank you. In the beginning, I have to say that I'm very pleased to be here, and thank you very much for the invitation. It's my first time in Lithuania, and on my behalf of myself and the city of Tampere, I want to congratulate the beautiful city of Vilnius for the 700th anniversary. And I also want to express our solidarity and support for Ukrainian friends. It's so nice to meet you guys here. But as it was said in the beginning, champions think bold. Couple of bold words in the beginning to tell where I'm from, coming from Tampere, Finland. Finland is listed to be the happiest nation in the world. And Tampere is the most attractive city in Finland, which is the happiest country in the world. So I'm starting to feel pressure from myself for the panel discussion. In the city of Tampere, we have developed a strategy for promoting well-being through culture. Actually, it's the city's task also by the law, but it has so many benefits and so many different programs we have to prevent problems and create well-being. By basic education, it's possible to reach every age class. It's the most effective way to influence. The main idea in the world's famous education system in Finland is to give everybody equal opportunities. The most important goal is to manage daily life and live a happy life and create happiness. And one example I can give from the program is it's called Taidekaari. It's an art program, an educational art program linked to the basic education and early childhood education and care. Annually, it introduces more than 20,000 children and young people to art and cultural sites. Children, they experience art, different arts, and they create art themselves. And from the beginning of this year, the Taidekaari is also a permanent part of the 5-year-old childhood education and the whole basic education as well. So it's structured in such a way that children, they go to different art places, fields of art and culture, and there are 3 parts: a visit to a cultural institution or environment, and then a thinking lesson that ties the parts together, and then a workshop. And the goal for young people who are finishing basic education, at the end of the program, they would be familiar with the cultural environment and so many things, cultural things in the city that they would know and get to know. And because culture also create happiness, and we want them to be, of course, as happy as possible. So this is one of them, one of a big list, and I can come up with another smaller examples as well later on.
I'm loving the notion of integrating culture, because I think it's something that kind of gets missed on occasion when we're thinking about youth and young people and building society. Often that bit around culture gets missed, and so I'm loving hearing some of the practical steps you've been taking, and I'm sure there's a long list you can ask about during the break as well. So Agnes, in Vienna, you've created one of the city's one of the best social security systems for children and young people. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
First of all, thank you for the invitation, dear Mayor Szymasius, dear guests. It's a pleasure to be here and to represent the city of Vienna. And I also want to convey greetings and congratulations from our mayor, Michael Ludwig. Vienna is not only known for history, for music, and for architecture. We also have a long-standing history and tradition of social welfare that has been successful in really many areas. This tradition can be briefly summarized with leaving no one behind, and we apply these principles in all fields of politics and also administration. And it's not only the politics, but it's also the administration that plays a pioneering role as a social welfare provider in various ways. Much like Vilnius, Vienna is a city with a multicultural past and present, and decision-making and public administration invariably include the special challenge of building a livable environment for all our people, for all inhabitants, and also continuously improving this. And the question of child and youth support plays a crucial role in this political model that we, in our targets. And if you look at the fields of action, what we see, it's the social securing system, but it's also combined with the education system. To understand the challenge of fighting and combating child poverty, we have to see that the educational background of the parents plays a crucial motive for is one of the reasons for the educational future of the children. So we have to look at the measures we can take at school, and it's important to support not only the institutional situation of children, but also to look what possibilities do we have to support these who don't have these educational chances like other groups. So we have to look at, for example, we take tutoring classes, or we make summer city schools where children are in 2 weeks workshops and can improve their language skills, but also they got tutoring in maths. So it's about supporting children in their educational future, because this is very important to prevent poverty when they get older. But what needs do children have besides their educational future? It's also about leisure facilities. So we have 79 youth centers, we have mobile youth work, we go into the parks where the young people are to look what needs do they have. And we also have summer city camps, so you can go there in the holidays, and it's also a way to support the parents by having the possibility to combine their work with being parents. First of all, that's the kindergarten. That's where everything starts. To enhance social skills, to improve language skills, and also to gain creativity. And the start in the kindergarten is the first step in the educational way of people. So that's the reason why the city of Vienna made the kindergarten free starting with 2010, because every child should have the possibility to step into a brighter future with a good opportunity of having a place in a kindergarten. So it's education, it's leisure time, but it's also social support. We have an enhanced, advanced social security system. So we have this means-tested benefits. It's a social aid. everybody can get, can apply for it if you don't earn much money to enhance living. But what I have to say, it applies to the principle of subsidiarity. So the first game of our social aid system is it's a long-time integration into the working market, labor market. So that's the first aim in our work within our social security system. And we supported 44,000 children in the year of 2022 with the social aid system to give them a possibility to not having childhood in poverty. But there's still another factor, that's participation. And we started a real big participation processes because children, they don't have the possibility to vote, but it's also important that they can shape their future by themselves. And we now started the preparations for the first youth parliament, and we are really looking forward to this happening. Last but not least, the question of the integration into the labor market plays a crucial role for young people. What we saw some years ago was an increasing number of social aid applications of young people, and we saw that we lost them within our organizations because we have coordination with also the local and regional labor market organizations. And so we started a program that's called Back to the Future, and it consists of 3 parts. The first one is a project to integrate young people into the labor market. It starts new every year with 200 young people to support them on the transition to the second or even the first labor market. And what we also saw that we need incentives in the social aid system. So you get more money if you start working or if you go in courses. And the third part is that it's called the U25. And it's a huge center. It's the center where my department is located, a part of my department is located, the ones that work for the people until 25, but also the regional labor market organization is there. So we have a one-stop shop where we're offering labor facilities, but the labor organization works with case studies and also with we have a cooperation and we are sharing our experiences, and we are convinced that these instruments will help us to support many young people on their way to a livable life. And to name some figures, in the year 2022, per month, 12,000 young people were supported by this organization.
Wow. I'm loving how comprehensive the programs are that you've done. And when we're talking about social and youth projects, it's incredibly far-reaching. Why should cities focus on youth and social projects? And I guess, Dagur, for you, it was a little bit obvious. If you've got a significant issue with youth and drugs, it feels quite obvious that maybe that's an area where you should focus. But have you noticed some additional unexpected benefits that come by putting time, effort, and energy in social and youth-related initiatives?
Well, we wouldn't have won England in the Euro if it wasn't for good programs, you know.
That simple. Euro Cup.
No, I mean, I think that when you invest in youth, you're investing in the future, really. And I think you should be careful of trying to pick people's way in life, kind of. So I think it's to get them going with good experiences and good confidence, and kind of try to prepare them for an ever-changing world in all its kind of and I think that, of course, school and formal education is a very important part in that, but also the extracurricular activities, the kind of that teaches you to interact with other people, to talk and get your message out, and if you stumble, having someone that you can also talk through that, which can be a very important experience as well. So I think that we need kind of a network, like we are a little township, although we are cities and are planning our activities and youth work for a city.
So investing in youth is really about investing in the future. Matti, taking it from the perspective of starting with using culture as the catalyst, how do you find, are you finding there's additional benefits with using that social element and intertwining it with the youth element?
It's one very important element, the culture, and also making children move and have hobbies and activities. Everything is very, very important as well. But I say that I agree with my colleague, but I can tell the mayor of Tallinn told about the challenges and the problems we're facing. I have to admit that in Finland we are also facing big challenges and even problems. Like 7 or 8 years ago, 60,000 people, children were born every year. Annually 60,000, always 60,000, 60,000, it was like that. Now it's 45,000. Last year, 43,000. 5 million people in Finland. People are getting older. We need nurses. We need people to work. We are really facing a problem. There are 8% of the young people that are going from the basic education. They don't have enough skills to manage in daily life, which is the thing that we want to do. We need everybody to be along. We don't have afford to lose a single young people anymore. So even if we don't think the side of the person's or the child's life, which is very, very important to think that too, as a nation, we don't have afford to lose any young people. That's why we need to invest. That's also one, because we don't have any other choice.
It's a really interesting point. I mean, we had a similar situation when you had the baby booming era, and then you look at who's coming and you go, the numbers have just suddenly plummeted. We just don't have as many people coming through. We can't afford to allow any youth to be left behind. And I know, Agnes, you've got the policy of nobody left behind. Are there any specific benefits that you've seen beyond that would have you encourage other cities to really take the time and effort to look at and invest in their youth initiatives?
So to Vienna, we have 1.9 million inhabitants. That mean that that 20% of the inhabitants of Austria live in Vienna. I think that's quite similar to Vilnius. We have, I think, 22%. But what's unique in Vienna, we are the only really big city in Austria. The next one is Graz with, I think, 450,000. And what we notice is we have a situation like many other big cities. We have many rich people, but we also have many poor people. And it's important to have a focus on all of them, but especially on the young people who don't have, with a background, that many chances. And as you mentioned, data, I think it's important, that's our experience, also to have many data. And if you work with this group, so we, for example, said during Corona, it's important to also have a social monitoring, not only the monitoring of what does this mean for our health system, but what are the impacts, for example, of the Corona crisis for especially vulnerable groups. And we coordinated this for the whole involved part of the city administration. And together with the data is you see what needs young people do have, and one experience is, for example, that we have to take a deeper look at young mothers, for example. Yeah? So we created a program to prepare this target group for return to the labor market. Or what we also saw, that was also young people often have debts due to the fact that they don't know to learn how to do with money. And so, for example, made a finance driving license to learn young people, especially vulnerable groups, how can they learn to cope with money. So these are just two examples. So if you look, why do we do this project and why are young people so important? So it's of course it's about the hope, the situation for the young people to help them on their way, but it's also it's important for other parts of the society, because social freedom is something that's really important. And it's about social freedom, and it's also about competition. If I do have many good-skilled, well-skilled young people, then I am more competitive as a city. To also not look at the people themselves, but also at the benefits of the cities.
I mean, after all, cities are congregations of people, and if we fail to look at people, we miss things. Yes, Matti?
That was an interesting example. I can tell another one. It was about young mothers that you told that we have in Tampere. We are offering cultural services for babies and families. And one of the most popular service that we are giving is we are offering baby fathers, dads, circus courses. The dads in the courses, new dads, they can learn to interact with the babies and connect with the other young dads with the same situation through these fun acrobatic courses, and it has been very, very popular. This is one example, but it's for not so many dads are there, but one thing that how can they participate there and create positive atmosphere during to be a young parent.
That's super creative. There'll be some men in the room wishing they lived in lived in Tampere now. With so many benefits of social and youth-related initiatives and projects, why do you think that cities struggle to get widespread adoption? I'll start with you, Dagur, because you had a situation where there's a specific issue identified, and you tried previous well-known ways of telling kids don't do drugs, it's bad for you, and it didn't work. What do you think was the main underlying struggle where cities really struggle to kind of get new initiatives off the ground and get the traction that results in something that's exportable to other cities?
I think that there is no kind of clear answer to that. I think you have to be very much awake kind of for the younger generation and what the needs and aspirations are. I think that one of the key things that cities have to be better at, Reykjavik has to be better at, and many cities, is integration. And we see that the same groups are marginalized in a lot of things. And you were talking about falling birth rate. I think we have two examples, one new and one old. Yesterday, the Prime Minister of Japan declared a lack of children emergency for Japan, putting more focus on kind of things to do for children, but didn't address that it's one of the kind of borders in the world that have been closed for decades to immigrants. And we see that elsewhere in the world. I'm not going to talk about Brexit, but
please don't.
No, but I think that I mean cities. And the other example we heard masterfully told about this morning, which is Vilnius, kind of inviting everybody and kind of with the idea of everybody living together. And I think that is what coins the idea about a city. I tend to say back home that we're not all born in Iceland, but we are all citizens of Reykjavik. And I think that will kind of divide cities that will thrive and grow and have a bright future, and cities that will have difficulties is kind of how open they will be to new people and how successful they will be in integrating, not least when it comes to young people and first and second generation immigrants. But I stress again, I think there's no one answer or easy answer there. I think you just have to put this in focus and make it one of your kind of main jobs as a city to serve all.
So establish it as a pillar of the city, but also to remember that that ability to think open and think about other parts of the community. I'm deliberately not asking a simple question because these are not easy answers. Matti, really quickly, I'm conscious of time and I really want to dive deeper. What would you say are some of the principles that help social and youth projects to really get traction?
I think the main idea needs to be that everybody is giving the same opportunities. When it comes to you have a hobby. For example, ice hockey is very, very popular in Finland. It costs money. We need to find ways that everybody can participate. Figure skating in the girls is very, very popular there. It's also costs money. We need to give everybody equal opportunities. That's how you keep everybody along. And then we need to create hope. If you don't have hope, you don't have anything. For example, we talk about the young people. They are frustrated because of the climate change, and they see that the politicians, we're not doing enough. We're doing, but not enough. It takes time, and there's always a reason why we cannot do this and this right now. We want to be the city of action in Tampere. We came up with 300 small and big actions, concrete actions. How are we going to make our goal is to be carbon neutral in 2030. There are 7 years we have left into that, and we came up with the 300 things. And now I hope that the young people, they know that they actually are doing things. So the hope and equal rights for opportunities for everyone.
Hope, equal opportunities. I love the idea of concrete ideas. And last but not least, Agnes, what would you say are some of the core principles that help cities to get traction around social and youth-related initiatives?
So I think you really need the political willingness, the political consensus that this is really important. And you have to do it constantly with no breaks. So this is what I mentioned in Vienna. Then you do also you need an administration who is willing to define and to develop ideas and to do it, to deliver it, what the politic wants and what the people need. And you have to be by the group you want to support. You have to know their needs. You have to know what they want, and you have to know their cultures, where they are. And what's important for me, as we are here now in a very international environment, I love to go to such conferences because it's so important to learn from each other. So I think the international exchange is really important for our cities, as it's different for cities because in many cases it's the national level with the governments who are doing the discussions on the European level. And it's important for us to stay in contact and to do lobbying for our interests. And And also this conference is also supported by your cities, which I think is a very important organization. And as I can say, for me, I developed together with City of Amsterdam a roundtable of social directors, because the question of rising inequalities and segregation is one that is going to stay, and it's important to do it together, to just look what are our common impacts, what can we do together, but what are the differences. So I think that's also important.
And I'm hopeful that this conversation has sparked a lot of ideas within the audience, and we continue to have this dialogue over the rest of today and throughout this evening. Agnes, Dagur, and Matti, thank you so much for joining us.